What is the craziest excuse someone has given you that ended up being true? Hired an employee via phone interview and she didn't show up first day at work. Called her up, she said she did come to work and received orientation. HR said they didn't give anyone orientation. Turns out she went to wrong address and they had an orientation for a dozen new hires and she somehow got in and tagged along. Now that's a way to get a job. Very George Costanza-ish. We had a tech take leave 4 times in a year because her grandmother died. Same excuse every time. When called on her bullshit, she pulled up obituaries, and I'll be damned if she didn't have 4 lesbian grandmas. Really sucks to lose that many people in a year too. Well. Univertal methods. I'm gonna be late, there's a naked crackhead on my roof. Waiting for police. You can just say you're running late, dude. Picture message of a naked crackhead on his roof. Wow, there is a naked crackhead on your roof. Do what you gotta do, I'll cover. What the duck? How did a naked crackhead get onto the roof? Step 1. Smoke crack. Step 2. Take clothes off. Step 3. Get on roof. I'm a high school teacher. 10 years ago I had a student say he didn't do the homework because his car caught fire on his ride home, and his textbook was in the back seat. I was suspicious, but he quickly produced the badly charred textbook, which was also completely waterlogged from when the fire department put out the fire, and asked me if I could issue him a new one. It's possible that he burned and soaked his textbook in an effort to getting out of doing the homework. If that was the case, bravo. Now I know what I've got to do. You had to stop all the ghosts that were coming through. I was late to work once because a peacock was in the middle of the road. Boss didn't believe me until the next day when the peacock blocked the road when she was coming in. That peacock had your back. Brocock. My excuse. The night before I went to sleepaway camp in middle school, I hear a glass shatter in the kitchen at 2 a.m. I go to investigate and find a broken beer bottle on the counter and beer everywhere. Start to clean it up and parent come to find me. Tell them it exploded and they don't believe me. Say I'm in trouble after I get back from camp. By the time I get home, nearly all of my dad's home brew bottles exploded. What did your parents say when you got back? They apologized for not believing me. I think I was gone for 2 weeks, so there was plenty of time for a lot to explode. My dad gifted a bunch to other people who had the same thing happen in their fridges, so they weren't too happy. My dad homebrews. He's had issues with overcarbonation causing bottles to explode before. Always fun. Good old bottle bombs. I worked in collections and this woman literally had the worst luck. She made min wage but was part-time and struggled getting hours. She missed her car payments a lot but would almost catch up, and a string of shit happened within a month, including she lost a day's pay. BC someone got stabbed to death in the store she worked in. True, her son stole her money from her purse that was for her car payment. I remember her crying so hard and I let her go because she seemed serious. Her son then got stabbed almost to death because of a bad drug deal. True, and made me believe the story about him stealing money. Then her youngest son did something in the kitchen on the stove and burned their entire house down. I quit shortly after, but I wonder if her luck ever got better. Life really shit on her. I can see the next guy after you going yeah, and repoing the car. I checked in the system after I left that department and she paid it off. My bet is another family member co-signed another loan and used this as a trade-in, owes $10,000 on a car worth $3.5K, putting her more underwater than she already was. Hopefully if she had renter or homeowner's insurance she had enough left over to pay off the car instead. I had someone who had to take 2 weeks off of work because he said he had to go back to Nigeria to be crowned ruler of his province. So I was like, so you're a Nigerian prince, eh? Well, turns out Nigeria has a lot of royal families of different areas and the dude working for me was a legit Nigerian prince. I'll be damned. Edit, for those asking, he worked as a security guard. And yes, he was returning to Wakanda. Edit 2, for real, the guy became the king of his principality and returned to work as a security guard. How did the relationship change? Well, I started addressing him as Your Majesty, not being patronizing at all. I was honest to God trying to show the man respect. He brought me back this cool dagger as a thanks for letting him take so much time off. People around the office figured out he was legit, but every once in a while somebody caught me addressing him properly and they'd be like, "Why the duck are you calling Frankie your majesty?" So I'd have to explain he's a king in Nigeria. And you can imagine how that conversation went. A coworker of mine said he couldn't come into work because the police wouldn't let him. Everyone at work called bullshit, and then he sent us a picture from his window of a SWAT sniper using his car to monitor another building in his complex. Apparently there was a hostage situation. Everyone ended up being safe. An employee missed a few days at work because he had been arrested and jailed. Told me it was a mistake and he was innocent. Turned out he was right. It's actually more common than you'd think for people to get arrested by mistake because they have the same name as a suspect. I actually was arrested earlier this year and taken in for a larceny warrant that had been out on me for like 18 months. I had no idea what was going on. When watching the video with my lawyer and checking my personal records, the real story became obvious. It was a mistake and charges were immediately dismissed. But man, what a bad feeling when it was unfolding. Someone was running late for something due to a traffic accident, and a road being closed. So they tried an alternate route, and that was closed for a different incident. So they called, said that they'd try another way. The third route was blocked for something else. They called again, said they gave up and went back home. Checked the news, and they weren't making any of it up. There was no escape from their neighborhood for a while that day. Several main roads were shut down for various reasons. It was Minneapolis this past summer, wasn't it? All effing summer. I live in a tourist trap where it can take me 2 hours to drive 5 miles round trip midday. Boss doesn't even ask when I'm gone that long just to get materials for the job. It's kinda nice but can drive me up a wall some days. Edit, to answer obviously confused folks, you cannot get any real amount of material BSCK to a worksite 5 miles on a bike. I need a big ass work truck to haul it. I don't have an option. I showed up to a class with only 45 minutes left. My teacher was going to give me detention. I told him that I had rescued a rooster that was in the hallway, and the guidance counselor and I had taken him to the SPCA. Even I knew it sounded far-fetched. He yelled at me and told me to sit down. My guidance counselor ran in then and exclaimed, "Guess what we just did? No detention for me." A rooster is believable, a duck would be far-fetched. Sorry mate, a swan wouldn't let me out the car. Turns out it was true, as he was on the phone to his mum screaming, and she takes great joy telling us this story. No luck catching those swans? It's just the one swan, actually. For the greater good. The greater good. Not me, my friend. First date with a girl he was crazy about, she stood him up. She calls him 2 days later to apologize, saying she was in the hospital. I talk him into giving her another chance. Turns out she really was in the hospital. They've been married over 15 years now. This happened with my friend as well, but she was the one in the hospital. They met online and it was a while before she agreed to meet up with him. On the day of their date she got pneumonia and was hospitalized. The first time they met in person was him bringing her peanut M&Ms in the hospital. They're married now. I was once a month late to work because of a volcano going off. It was the Aphaical volcanoes, great name, ash cloud in 2010, and I was stuck in Egypt on holiday for a whole month. Needless to say, it was great. So what happens in that sort of situation? Do you have to pay out of pocket for another month of lodging and normal expenses? When I was in some beginning French courses at my university, this one boy missed a lot of school. When he got back, his excuse was my mom killed herself and my grandpa died. It was true. He lost both family members in a matter of weeks. I stayed with him in the library sometimes until 5 in the morning to help him catch up because I didn't want him to fall behind because of these tragedies. #X200B, edit, gold and silver? Oh my goodness, thank you guys so much. 3. My dog really did eat my homework when I was in grade school and my mom had to write me a note. Am a teacher, my dog ate a student's test. I just remembered that one of my teacher's dogs peed on my test. She photocopied it so I could study, but you could definitely see the pee stains. Teacher was awesome though, and we all found it funny. Edit, wow, my top comment is about my test getting peed on.